Hi, and welcome to Career Mobility with James Mcilvena in July 2024. Can you believe it, James? We are in the new year.
Yeah, the new financial year, and I know it's July because at the moment I'm waking up, my hands are numb, my feet are numb until I can get some warmth. So, and every
I'm with
second,
you.
and every second discussion is about footy tipping as it gets to the pointy end.
I hear you're very hot on that stuff.
Yeah, look, I don't mind discussing football just to break up the corporate talk.
Absolutely. Now, we today are going to talk about something very exciting, actually. It's a new solution essentially that's available to everybody who's in career transition. It's something called Career Canvas. Now, Career Canvas is an AI-driven tool that we've created. So I'd love you to give us a bit of a heads up on what it's there for. How can it help people, James?
Yeah, so how I can help people is it is really about helping people properly explore opportunities that might be available to them beyond what is maybe the immediate or a like for like job scenario. And so what it does is it takes snapshots of people's skills, experience, but more importantly, their preferences to
Mm,
be able to show them alternate pathways or consider different ways of taking their career and things to maybe rule in or rule out, but at the very
yep.
least to investigate. And it links back to, and I'm sure I've said it in a previous call, yeah, one of the most important things that I always encourage people in transition to do is to fully explore, use the time they've been given.
Mm.
Yeah, that doesn't feel like it when they're early in transition, but gifted, I would even say, in order to really fully consider career pivots rather than just going from role to role, almost sleepwalking their way through their career. And so, Career Canvas is all about optionality, all about opening people's minds, and all about considering the broader opportunities out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a very simple tool to use as well, isn't it? It's really, you log in through CRN, you have 8 simple questions essentially to ask. You can actually upload your resume as well into the system. It's a sort of closed loop system, so you can upload your resume. And the feedback that we're getting is that people are starting to really have their minds sort of expanded in terms of the options available to them, which is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, and two things that I'll pick up you just mentioned, which are really important. One is closed loop. So, unlike open source AI,
Yeah.
it's closed loop, which means for those that are not familiar with the terminology, that it doesn't go out into the World Wide Web for other people and other large language models to take what you're inputting and learn from it.
Yeah.
Only those have access to Career Canvas, and only the inputs from LHH people who have the right to use the tool is used for it to learn. So it is a tool that still learns. It is a tool that actually, as an individual, it's not a one-shot deal. It will learn, and you can go in, you can try multiple pathways, you can answer the 8 questions differently and see if it throws up different scenarios for you. And
Yeah.
like any AI model, it relies on multiple use and everyone else's input in order to be able to give the best outcomes and results. But that closed loop bit is it's learning from people who are in the same situation as the
Yeah.
individuals who are going to use it. So that's the other incredibly valuable thing.
Yeah, it's one of the things I love about it is it provides, once you've put your sort of answered your 8 questions, it provides with 6 potential career paths that you could follow. And they're called inspirations. And I think that literally is the crux of it. At the end of the day, sometimes we just need a different way of thinking. How do we do that? Well, the world of AI, as you and I spoke about, at the moment, our LinkedIn feeds are full of AI articles and information about it. So how do you dip your toe if you're not using it yet, and kind of get great results? And this is a really great place to start, isn't it?
Absolutely. And like any adoption, there are early
Mm,
adopters, and then there are people who are later to adopt it. And the point you just raised is an incredibly good one. It is a safe space to dip your toe in. You know? There will be people who actually understand, and have been utilizing ChatGPT and are absolute masters at, dedicated prompts in order to draw out phenomenal outputs. And there'll be other people who have maybe just used a trial of Microsoft Copilot and used it for a productivity measure. But career specific, safe, easy, 8 questions, 6 inspiration pathways. What's to lose?
Absolutely. And we're hearing some really great feedback as well, aren't we? People are really starting to sort of have their mind open to, well, you know what, I hadn't even thought about that. And it's really influencing, again, just kind of, everything from their branding right through to networking. So, there's so much there. So yeah, I'm excited to see, the feedback as it's coming through, and to see, obviously how people can optimize it.
Yeah, and look, and it opens up the possibility of a different type of networking discussion. And
Absolutely.
so I reference that in saying that if I thought how impressed I would be if someone came and had a networking discussion with me, and that networking discussion might start, hey, I've been using my transition as a moment of reflection in my career. I just utilized this AI driven tool. It came up with some interesting inspirations. Yeah, it would be great to have a bit of a chat or interrogate a couple of these things with you because you know me and I'd love your opinion on it.
Mm,
Now, as the person involved in that networking discussion, I know 3 things about that individual already. One, they're inquisitive and they've done something about it. 2, they're dipping their toe in and being progressive and getting an understanding of new technologies and AI. And 3, I have a foundation to discuss something interesting with them, not
yeah.
just talking about old colleagues and old jobs and old employers.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, again, this is something that people could really start to add to their marketing plan. It literally, I mean, it is that thing of producing new pathways, new areas for exploration and adventure, really. I mean, the other thing that I was seeing in the news today, James, is that, they were estimating there would be around sort of 30,000 plus new jobs as a result of AI. We obviously always hear about sort of the concern about jobs being taken, but the reality is there's now 200,000 plus jobs that will be produced as a result of utilizing AI as really a bit of a buddy to what we do day to day. We know what good is as professionals and as experts in what we do. AI can just help us get there quicker.
Yeah, and on the how it impacts people's job side of thing,
Yeah,
there are 3 very distinct categories to consider. And so this is really important when you're considering the role or the expertise that you already have,
yeah,
and the longevity of a similar type of job where you to move back into it. And so there are the roles that are going to be almost completely replaced
yeah,
when it comes to AI. And so particular examples are like law researchers and people like that, where now AI can just search through every case history possible and come up with a summary. And so it no longer needs to be done so manually. So that's a role replacement. There's a role enhancement, which is it will do some of the tasks, normally the more mundane tasks, and allow people to focus on the higher order tasks, which actually requires some thinking around how people create better value and work on interpersonal skills and interactive skills that can't simply be done and automated.
yeah,
And then there's productivity gains. And productivity gains are things like I mentioned before with Microsoft Copilot, where you're really
yeah,
probably doing the majority of your job exactly the same way. It just saves you some time here and there.
yeah,
And so they're almost the 3 segments. Then when it comes to the job growth component to it, it is almost impossible to make an assessment of out of those hundreds of thousands of jobs created, if you blanket them under AI, it's the same as when they used to talk about digital, right?
yeah,
It's a blanket term. So what part are you interested in? And you're never going to know until you potentially A, use something like Career Canvas, and then B, go and dip your toe in the water.
yeah,
And use some of the tools, even if it's the open source stuff, but this comes with like a subtext warning. Remember, always when using open source, don't share anything that you want to remain confidential or would be a privacy concern for you. So, for example, think carefully about doing things like uploading CVs or
yeah,
intimate personal details when it comes to open source AI, but go and have a play. And there are some great ad campaigns at the moment where the large tech firms are actually just trying to get people to dip a toe in the water to do something like, AI, create me an image of a cat playing a guitar, right? And so they're doing this because they want to break the barrier of people who have never used it and get them doing something simple, something non-offensive. And so career-wise, Career Canvas, but also use the broader tools and try and get an understanding of exactly where this is going, and read broadly and incorporate that into your preferences and understand where you're going. Because if you use a blanket term like AI with someone who understands it, they'll then ask you to be more specific. And if you've got nowhere to go, you probably shouldn't have brought up even the term in the first place.
Absolutely. I mean, that is the reality. Even when you look at the landscape of AI apps or technology now, it is that there are literally thousands of them and being created practically daily, because they are language models. They're sitting, there are small ones, there are large ones, there's enterprise levels, so there's lots of levels. But I think, in terms of career transition, Career Canvas, we really want people to, those that have tried it, we've obviously been looking at this in different regions. It's now in Australia and the APAC region, and New Zealand. Start to use it, like, as you say, dip your toe, have a go. It's a very safe environment, a bit like uploading your resume to the CRN. It's a very safe environment to sort of connect out to hiring community and to employers. That's where you get to dip your toe whilst you're with LHH in a safe way. And then, as you say, if you'd like to get out there and use some of the other ones, just, go onto LinkedIn Learning. There's lots of great learning about, AI on there as well. But as you say, don't open Pandora's box necessarily unless you're going to be very specific about what you know and what you don't.
Absolutely. So just echo that. Please get on, give it a try. We'd love to hear your feedback about Career Canvas. Remember that it's actually closed source, so super safe for people to use, even if it comes to uploading the CV option. Otherwise, have a play around with the questions, have a look at the inspiration, see how that can inform your marketing plan.
Yeah, and we would literally love to hear, if you've been inspired by a particular inspiration that comes out in your Career Canvas. What did you do with it? Where did you take it? Who did you speak to about it? What type of opportunities has it opened up for you? That's what we want to see happening as a result of using this tool. So we'd love to hear those things with you, James.
Absolutely.
Brilliant. Awesome. Well, we will round it off there, but we will bring some more interesting stuff for you next month. And as always, James, great to catch up.
Great to catch up. See you in August.
Cheers.